There was a time the World Cup belonged to kings. Pelé had one, Maradona had one, and after years of watching the trophy escape him, Lionel Messi finally found his in Qatar. For 4 years, art endings. But perfection has one enemy: time. By the summer of 2026, Messi was 39 years old. He had already completed the story, yet there he was again, beneath the lights in New Jersey, one victory away from becoming world champion twice. Across the pitch stood Spain. Rodri controlled the midfield. Pau Cubarsí guarded the defense. Lamine Yamal waited on the wing, young enough to have grown up watching Messi become immortal. Argentina carried the last great memory of the old tournament. Spain looked like the team waiting to inherit whatever came next. Then, in the 106th minute, Ferran Torres scored. Spain became world champions. Messi walked past the trophy, but Messi's final was only the ending. The real story was how the tournament around him had grown too large to ever return to its old shape. The result is already known. What matters is how the World Cup became something completely different before Spain lifted it. For decades, the World Cup had been a house built for 32 nations. The rooms were limited, the doors were narrow, and every 4 years, most of football stood outside. Small countries disappeared in qualifying before the world could learn their players' names. Entire generations watched from home, knowing their flag might never be carried onto the game's largest stage. The reason was always presented as quality. More teams would weaken the tournament. More matches would create meaningless games. More unfamiliar countries would turn the World Cup into a festival of mismatches. Then FIFA knocked down the walls. 48 teams, 3 host nations, Canada, Mexico, and the United States, 16 cities, 104 matches. The World Cup did not simply arrive in North America. It spread across it. Matches crossed borders, climates, and time zones. Supporters moved between enormous cities, separated by flights rather than train rides. The tournament no longer felt like one country hosting football. It felt like an entire continent had been converted into a stadium. Nearly 7 million people passed through the gates. More than 300 goals were scored. Everything about the competition became larger. The audience, the schedule, the commercial value, the number of countries allowed to dream. But bigger is a dangerous promise, because every expansion creates new opportunities. It also creates new costs. Before anyone could understand those costs, one of the smallest countries in the tournament gave the new format its strongest defense. Cabo Verde arrived at their first World Cup, representing a population smaller than many of the cities hosting it. Their players were not global celebrities. Their shirt did not carry 5 stars. Their history could not frighten an opponent before kickoff. Their opening opponent was Spain. Spain controlled the ball and waited for the breakthrough. It never came. At the center of Cabo Verde's resistance was Vozinha, a 40-year-old goalkeeper, playing as though his entire country had been placed between his gloves. Spain attacked. He stopped them. They changed angles. He waited. The match ended goalless. Then Cabo Verde faced Uruguay, another former world champion. Another draw. By the end of the group stage, Cabo Verde were unbeaten and moving into the knockout rounds. They did not need to win the trophy to justify their invitation. They only had to matter. And they did. Curaçao mattered. Jordan mattered. Uzbekistan mattered. Each scored at its first World Cup. Each gave its supporters a memory that did not exist before the doors were opened. Expansion did not guarantee miracles. It created the possibility of them. And once the unfamiliar countries settled into the tournament, they noticed something football's traditional powers had hoped to hide. The giants could bleed. Germany began by defeating Curaçao 7-1. For the critics of expansion, it appeared to settle the argument. This was exactly what they had predicted: a football superpower overwhelming a country too small to compete. Germany had 4 stars above its badge, and a reputation built on discipline, control, and survival under pressure. Especially from the penalty spot, other countries entered shootouts carrying hope. Germany entered carrying certainty. Then Paraguay met them in the round of 32. The match reached penalties, and Germany discovered that history could not take the kick for them. Paraguay eliminated them. The shirt remained famous. The players went home. Brazil carried 5 stars, more than any nation in history. But stars only remember previous victories. They cannot defend the next counterattack. Norway eliminated Brazil, with Erling Haaland finally producing the kind of international moment critics had spent years demanding from him. For so long, Haaland had been judged by what Norway had failed to achieve. Now he was walking through Brazil. This was not happening because football's great nations had suddenly forgotten how to play. It was happening because the gap had narrowed. More countries had players developed inside elite academies, more coaches had access to advanced tactical information, more diaspora footballers were representing the nations of their parents and grandparents, smaller teams were more organized, more athletic, and less impressed by famous badges. The expanded World Cup did not remove the hierarchy. Spain, Argentina, France, and England still reached the final stages. But the journey became more dangerous. There were more opponents capable of punishment, more styles to solve, and more matches where reputation offered no protection. That was the sporting gift of a bigger World Cup. More countries could participate in history. But every extra country meant extra matches. Every extra match meant extra broadcasting hours. And every new hour created something that could be sold. Football came to America, and America entered football. The World Cup had always carried entertainment around the game. Opening ceremonies, music in fan parks, celebrity guests, advertisements covering every available surface. But in 2026, the entertainment moved closer to the football itself. Mandatory hydration breaks arrived during matches. The reason was legitimate. The heat was dangerous, and player welfare mattered. For the player, the pause offered recovery. For the coach, it offered instruction. For the broadcaster, it created a predictable window with a price attached. Then 2026 divided the match into smaller pieces. Coaches gathered players around tactical boards. Crowds booed the interruption. Broadcasters adjusted. A safety measure became a coaching tool, and the coaching tool carried commercial potential. Then came the finals halftime spectacle. Some supporters saw a celebration worthy of the largest sporting event on earth. Others saw football moving closer to the Super Bowl. The performance itself was not the real issue. The real issue was what happened once FIFA discovered another part of the occasion that could attract sponsors, artists, and global attention. Football had found more space around the game. The fear was that it might eventually start searching for more space inside it, and the price was not limited to what happened on television. The stadiums were full, but many ordinary supporters struggled to get near them. Tickets climbed beyond what some families could afford. Following a team across 3 enormous countries meant flights, hotels, and long-distance travel. A supporter could wait their entire life for their country to qualify, then discover that the dream was happening thousands of miles away behind a ticket they could not buy. The World Cup had opened its doors. The doorway had become expensive. For others, money was not the only obstacle. Certain countries reached the tournament, while some of their supporters faced uncertainty over whether they would be allowed into the host nation. On the pitch, the competition had never been more inclusive. Outside it, passports and borders still decided who could participate in the celebration. That was the contradiction at the center of 2026. More countries, more matches, more supporters watching around the world, but also more distance between the spectacle and the people who gave it its songs, flags, and atmosphere. Commercialization was not a monster hiding beneath the tournament. It paid for broadcasts, stadium operations, and expansion. It helped make the competition impossible to ignore. That is what made it powerful. The machine did not arrive threatening football. It arrived promising to make football bigger. And bigger sounded beautiful until supporters began asking what the game had sold to achieve it. If you believe the expanded World Cup created stories worth protecting, support the channel, because its most important story was still waiting at the end. One man was trying to stop time. Lionel Messi entered the 2026 World Cup as defending champion. He was no longer chasing approval. Qatar had settled the argument about his place beside Pelé and Maradona. This time, he was chasing continuation. He scored his 21st World Cup goal. He played his 34th match in the competition. He passed records that once appeared untouchable, but records preserve the past. They do not guarantee one more night. Argentina reached the semi-final against England and appeared to be running out of miracles. England took the lead. The clock moved toward the final whistle. Then Argentina scored in the 85th minute. They scored again in stoppage time. England had spent decades collecting painful World Cup memories. Argentina gave them another. Messi reached one final. One more match, one final opportunity to keep the game from moving beyond his generation. Spain were waiting. Rodri controlled the center without chasing attention. He made the match move at the speed Spain preferred. Cubarsí defended with a calm that did not match his age. Yamal attacked with the fearlessness of someone too young to understand why he should be intimidated. Argentina depended on emotion, endurance, and the possibility that Messi might still produce one last moment. Spain depended on structure. They did not need one player to carry them because danger could emerge from anywhere, even from the bench. The final remained scoreless through 90 minutes. Argentina defended deeper as their legs weakened. Messi waited for space that never fully appeared. Spain kept moving the ball, forcing the defending champions to turn, chase, and reset. Then Ferran Torres found the opening. The finish was simple. The meaning was not. Spain led in the 106th minute. For the first time that night, Argentina looked like a team protecting a memory that had already started to disappear. The final whistle arrived. Spain celebrated their second World Cup. Rodri received the golden ball. Cubarsí became the young face of the winning generation. Unai Simón left with the golden glove. Messi received his runner-up medal and walked away from the podium. It was not the ending Argentina wanted, but it was the ending the tournament had been building toward. Messi had spent 2 decades convincing football that one man could carry a world. By 2026, the world had become too large for one man to carry. The 2026 World Cup changed football because it answered one question and created a more difficult one. The expanded format did not destroy the competition, it changed who was allowed to create its memories. Cabo Verde stood against Spain and survived. Paraguay took Germany's certainty from the penalty spot. Norway sent Brazil home. Countries once treated like guests began behaving as though the tournament belonged to them too. That alone changed the meaning of qualification. But expansion also changed what FIFA understood about the World Cup. It revealed how many matches the competition could hold, how many cities it could occupy, how much entertainment could be placed around it, how far supporters might travel, how much some would pay to remain close to it. There was a time the World Cup felt like a place football visited every 4 years. One country opened its doors. 32 teams arrived. One became champion. Then the lights went out and the game returned home. The 2026 tournament did not feel like a visit. It felt like football discovering a new size. New flags entered the story. Old champions lost their protection. A goalkeeper from Cabo Verde became a national hero. Germany learned that penalties were not an inheritance. Brazil watched another generation pass. Messi reached the final door and found Spain waiting on the other side. When Ferran Torres scored, he did more than decide a match. He marked the point where the old World Cup gave way to the new one. The tournament was larger, younger, louder, and more valuable than before. It created opportunities the old format had denied. It also created a commercial structure football may never be able to reverse. The World Cup opened its doors to the world in 2026. The world entered, and once it did, the tournament could never become small again. Maybe that saved the World Cup. Maybe it changed the competition into a spectacle that must continue growing, no matter what gets lost along the way. That is the argument football inherited from 2026, and it may shape every World Cup that follows. So tell me, did expansion give the tournament back to the world, or did it teach FIFA that the World Cup can never be big enough?